Imagine being the daughter-in-law of the president, but more importantly, being in demand. She's on Fox now. She's got her own podcast. She, for a while, was rumored to be the next senator out of Florida. It, of course, is Lara Trump. Lara, how are you? It's good to always see you.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Thank you. I'm doing awesome.
I can't really see you. Is that camouflage? What is
I know.
that?
I'm in disguise. I'm incognito in my camo today.
Hey, God bless you. Congratulations on the Fox show. I watched your interview with Tulsi. Holy mackerel. First of all, if you're going to come out of the box like that, already being who you are with your name and how good you are at what you do, then you sit down with the DNI. And I'm like going, really? That's amazing. Now, I know Tulsi very well. She's been on the show a lot of times, but that was just a great interview. The questions that you asked about the former administration saying this was the biggest threat, is it really? And just letting her just go into exactly what it was. Great job with that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. My View, 9 o'clock on Fox News on Saturday nights. And it turns out that it was the highest rated show of the entire weekend on cable,
Boom.
All of cable. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. But it was really cool to sit down with these three women, with Tulsi Gabbard, Caroline Leavitt, and Pam Bondi, who are all huge players in this administration, and get a bit of a different view of them, I think, than most people will ever get. You hear them, their names in the headlines, you know that they're the big newsmakers, but who are they? What drives them? And what do they think about things? So it was a cool perspective to get from all three of them. And I'm really excited about the new show. So thank you.
Well, I just love that you're doing it. My View with Lara Trump is on Fox. Then you've got The Right View. And, of course, behind you is a great view. So, obviously, you're going after, I would think you're going after The View, right? I mean, The View has turned so far left wing. And I just love, we're turning the screws a little bit to them because you're telling the truth, you're reporting the truth, and it's a great a counterpoint to what it is they're trying to do every day, no?
Well, it's funny you say that. That's how we got this name, The Right View. So we started this back in 2020 during that campaign. And it started as sort of like a campaign chat with specifically women. And we said, you know what's a name we could give to this show? And we said, you know what? The View is so awful. These women are just miserable, and you are actually dumber whenever you watch that show. You leave feeling like you lost a couple of brain cells. Let's give them the alternative to that. Let's give them The Right View. And then when I was trying to come up with what am I going to call the show on Fox News, I said, you know what? My view is actually perfect because I, in particular, have had the ability to view things from a perspective that probably very few people could ever say they have. So if the ladies of The View want to chat about that, if they feel like that is a knock against them, maybe that's how they want to take it. And that's okay, because what we're doing over here, Joe, is the complete opposite of The View.
Yeah, and you're doing it very, very well. It's Lara Trump. Make sure you check out The Right View. That's her podcast. Also, My View with Lara Trump on Fox News now. It's every Saturday night, right?
Every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Yes,
if
sir.
they're smart, they'll replay it on Sunday. I think they should do that.
Oh, well, maybe somebody's listening.
I'll get a hold of the Murdochs and I'll make that happen. Let me ask you this, and you may or may not want to opine on this, but was there a moment in recent months where you literally had to decide, am I Lara Trump the politician, or am I Lara Trump the host and the great support system for Eric and Donald Trump the president? I mean, did you have to decide between being a senator or even wanting that and doing what you're doing now?
The answer is yes. I actually did. It was a huge decision. I'll be honest. Yeah. I really struggled with this, and it weighed a lot on me because they're both huge directions to move your life. And not saying we're closing any doors, but whenever I really thought about what my life would look like if I were a United States senator, had Governor DeSantis appointed me to that seat, then I would have had to spend most of my week in Washington, D.C. My kids, Joe, are 5 and 7 years old.
Yeah.
The most important job title I will ever have is mom. And so for me right now, this felt like the right fit. And the ability to kind of go in depth into an administration that already is historic, already has broken records in terms of what this president and the people with whom he's surrounding himself are doing. That felt like such a cool opportunity and a great time to do it. So, I had to make this decision. So far, I feel like it's been the right one. And I'm really excited about what the next couple of years is going to hold.
And we're excited for you. It's Lara Trump. Go and follow her everywhere. I think it's Lara Lee Trump over on X. Again, taking The Right View, My View. She's got a view. Everybody's view. It's got to be. It's the alternative. I would like to. Maybe the third show you do will be called The Alternative View.
I like it. Let's put it in the hopper. I like that.
You didn't ask me for advice or you didn't ask me my thoughts, but I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Okay.
I think you made the right decision. I think that your voice is so incredibly important outside of one of 100. And I know senators are very important people. I'm not denigrating what they do, but sometimes you get lost in the mix. Sometimes you get lost in the politics of it. I would rather have a show I can go to several days a week, another show I can go to on Saturday, go watch you on Instagram and everywhere else, Rumble and everywhere else. I just think it makes more sense. I guess that's what you're saying. Your voice is probably stronger and much more visible if you're not one of 100.
Well, that is probably exactly right. And it's funny, my father-in-law continues to tell me, and he loves to do this. No one wanted me to become a senator more than he did. And by the way, I'm going back to 2022 when I considered running for my home state of North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
There was an open Senate seat there. I really heavily considered that. My kids, of course, were very young then. And I said, I don't think this is the right time. Then this one came up and I heavily considered this as well. So my father-in-law loves to say, you are the only person who could have been a United States senator twice and twice has decided not to become a United States senator. But yeah, look, I think the ability that I have to interact with the people of the country and to, deliver something that I think is different, because what my show is on Fox is very different than anything else you're going to get. The news cycle is rapid, 24/7. Things are happening at breakneck speed right now. This show allows you to kind of go in depth and go inside and see a view, so to speak, of things you wouldn't otherwise get. And so it was very important for me to do, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it.
Check out the Right View podcast, also My View with Lara Trump on Fox every Saturday night now. Again, the biggest rated show on cable. I think you being on Saturday night ended up getting Joy Reid fired. Why'd you do that? Lara, can we just break that down? Here's somebody who went on the air every day and purveyed hate, purveyed racism, purveyed anti-American sentiment. And for some reason, they kept her on for a really, really long time. Here's somebody I don't know if you saw Greta Van Susteren today commented on this, but when she got fired from MSNBC or CNN, whatever it was, Joy Reid wrote, "Great, good riddance," or something like that. And now here's Joy Reid crying, weeping. What benefit did she bring the American people, if anything, other than I'm going to try to divide you? Any thoughts on her getting the ouster and maybe MSNBC waking up going, America doesn't want what we're putting out there anymore?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, ratings talk. And I think the truth is with Joy Reid, that wasn't a very well-rated show.
Right.
And with good reason, because you just said it. People were consistently tuning in there to feel worked up, to have their fear stoked in them, to divide people. That was kind of the whole goal of the show. And unfortunately, we've seen the lies within the mainstream media can be very dangerous. Donald Trump once upon a time called, the legacy media essentially the enemy of the American people. And whenever you have people out there espousing things that are completely false, the Russia collusion hoax, you had other MSNBC anchors alleging that Donald Trump was going to put people in camps if you were in interracial relationships, if you were gay. These are the kind of crazy things that they're putting out there from this network. And so Joy Reid, of all these people, was part of all of that. And it's a huge problem. And I think that under new leadership, maybe MSNBC is kind of taking a step back, taking a grand look at things and saying, wow, our ratings are absolutely in the tank. Let's take some of these shows that are at the bottom of the barrel. Let's cut them out. Let's start fresh. And I would love to see that happen. It's never too late, MSNBC, to come around and start telling the truth. Would be very happy to see that happen.
LaraTrump.com, also therightView.com. Go and check out everything she does. Do you think there was a great awakening on November 6th, maybe the night of November 5th? Those who are on the moderate left, those who are sort of in the middle, lean a little bit right, lean a little bit left, but maybe lean left more than right. It's almost as if we heard a loud a bunch of noise, where people, cacophony, I was thinking of the word, of people saying, you lied to me. You lied to me for like 3 or 4 years about this guy. He just won with what seems like a mandate. You don't at all have any sort of credibility with me anymore. Do you think people woke up and said, why am I watching CNN and MSNBC when everything they said wasn't true?
I mean, I think that's absolutely right. And if you look consistently, Joe, over the past 8 years at the way the ratings have shifted, you take like a Fox News, for example, and you see their ratings going up. And it's the most watched cable news network with independents, Democrats, and Republicans is
Right.
Fox News. Their ratings going up. And then you have CNN and MSNBC on the other side going down. It's because people can't trust them. And I think that's exactly right. You look at things like Donald Trump expanding access to in vitro fertilization, something that several months ago the Democrats again lied to the American people via the legacy media to say Donald Trump wants to ban IVF. Remember that?
Yes.
Whenever they are, you can only cry wolf so many times before people wake up and start to get the hint that they just can't trust you. And I think that's where a lot of people are. What they've also noticed with Donald Trump this time around is it's different. The feeling is different in the country right now. And this is a man who's operating as president differently this time than he did in 2017.
Yeah.
This time around, he's not trying to shove himself into some mold that was preset for him in terms of what a president should be. He has said, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm going to run this country like a business because that's what I know and that's how I operate best. That is why I believe you're seeing all the great successes we've already seen. That's why DOJ is exposing more fraud, waste, and abuse every single day. That's why you have an administration firing on all cylinders with all of the different parts working for the American people because it's different this time around. And when people start to see things moving in the right direction, they do start to wake up and they do start to take a second look at things. And absolutely, I think that's happening right now.
Mom, wife, fitness influencer. Also, I mean, honest to God, the fitness videos you're putting on, I'm like, I feel like a slug, and I work out. It's Lara Trump. Also, get her new single. It's called "No Days Off" with French Montana, which I think is amazing as well. She's a great singer, does all that other stuff, hosts these shows, and has the time to come on and talk with me. How do you balance all that? I mean, I think there are people out there watching going, well, she's just lucky, she's just privileged. I don't think that's what it is. You appear to be somebody with a work ethic that I like, that I have, that your husband has, that your father-in-law has. Is that what it is? It's just work ethic? You get up in the morning, I got to accomplish these 32 things, I'm going to do it.
Well, No Days Off is the title of a song that I released, but it is also basically my ethos. That's how I have always lived. Whatever it is I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I do it 110%. And I'm going to put all of myself into it and work overtime and outwork everybody else. It's how I was raised. It's how my parents taught me to be as a kid. And I don't know any other way. So yeah, I mean, people could look at my last name and say, oh, she was given everything. But I think once people actually get to know me and they see what it is I do on a daily basis and they realize everything I've done, I worked really hard for, and I continue to do that. That's how I'm built and that's how I operate. And I hope that this song, No Days Off, is something if you're having a tough day and you need a little inspo, turn it on because you can take, no days off. You just, whatever it is you do, you focus in on it, you get your target in sight and you actually achieve it. And so that's the thing that I hope people take away from the song. And if they're watching what I'm doing, that's generally how I'm always operating.
Go on YouTube, search Lara Trump and search No Days Off and go check that out. Go download it. Go get that single. It's amazing. You were not handed anything because we actually watch you doing it. You're on every outlet. You're showing it. It's all very public. You can't not be public because of the last name, as you said, but it's not like you're just sloughing through it. I remember when I interviewed Eric first, and then I think Don Jr. This is in 15 or something when I first met them. And I said, Eric, why aren't you a Kardashian? And he paused for a second. He said, it's a pretty good question. I guess we could have been, but their father said, no, you have to work for it. Yes, they were privileged. Yes, they had a little more than other kids because their dad was so successful, but he made them work for everything.
Yep.
And you see, I don't know your parents, and maybe we should talk more about your parents next time because I think people should know where you got that as well. But clearly you're in that group. I mean, why are you with Eric? Because you're very similar people with your drive and your dedication, and you fell in love and the whole love story. The bottom line is this. Those watching and listening, don't take anything for granted. Work as hard as Lara does, and you can achieve. Try your best at everything that you do. Is there a good answer to why aren't you a Kardashian? They could have been, right?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly could have been. I believe with different parents. But the truth is, if you go back and you talk to my husband or his siblings about their upbringing, what you'll find is that they weren't just given, a checkbook and they could get as much money as they wanted. They weren't just given anything. They were told by their dad, you got to go out on these work sites, these job sites. You're going to have to go cut the grass at this property. You're going to walk around with the electrician. You're going to work with the builders over here on this project. You need to learn this trade because this is my business. And if you ever want to be a part of it, you got to learn it too. They had to work for everything up through the ranks, and they paid their dues. And that's the reason they've turned out to be these great human beings, these great adults. And it's the reason that I am married to my husband today. Believe me, I would not be married to a Kardashian of any variety of that understanding. But I was raised in a, I don't want to get all Kamala Harris on everybody, but I was raised in a middle-class family, Joe. And I kind of.
But you actually were.
I actually was. But I probably grew up like so many Americans out there. And I had everything I ever needed, but not everything I ever wanted. And it was a good driver for me. And my parents taught me, I mean, one of my greatest lessons, I talked about this on the first My View show on Fox, was one of the greatest lessons I ever learned was from my dad, who I had not made the JV cheerleading team. And he worked with me in the backyard for hours and days and weeks on end to achieve a back handspring.
I love it.
I cried. I fell on my face. But he told me, look, if you want something, you're going to have to work harder than everybody else to achieve it. And then you'll be successful. And the next year, when I went to try out for cheerleading, I didn't just make the JV team. I made the varsity team. It was such a great lesson. And that's how I grew up.
Hey, Lara, I don't know if you have a boss, but let's say you had a boss and they wrote you an email and said, tell me 5 things you did last week. Could you do it? I would. That email would be gone in 20 seconds if I received that email.
I could tell you 5 things I did last hour, Joe. I think it's very
Why the
generous.
freak out?
The week is very generous of Elon to give him a whole week to give you 5 things. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why the freak out, do you think?
Well, I think people don't like accountability. And I think that there's this notion that if you are a federal employee, certain federal employees, that you don't have to answer to anybody. Well, it turns out you do, because you work for us. You work for the American people. We pay your salary every month, and we're tired of you sitting home and not doing a job. And I think the whole goal of this is to root out the people who aren't even checking their emails, Joe, because they're so checked out. They think they're gonna receive a check every single, every 2 weeks or whatever it is, and they're just gonna keep on living off the taxpayer teeth. That's not how it works anymore. Those days are over. Thank you, Donald J. Trump. Thank you, Elon Musk. We're actually going to have our taxpayer dollars go to things that are working for us, that are things that we want, and are things that are going to make America great again. So the only reason anybody's upset about that is because they got caught red-handed doing something they were not supposed to.
LaraTrump.com, TheRightView.com. Check out The Right View podcast. And also, My View with Lara Trump on Fox every Saturday. Don't have a ton of time, maybe in 20 or 30 seconds. I'm not going to ask you to grade the first month of the Trump administration because it's been amazing. It's obviously an A+. Is there anything, like, I don't know if he asks you for advice, but anything that you said to your father-in-law, like keep it going, you're doing great, or maybe deal with this media person this way? Does he talk to you that kind of way? Or because I love what he's done so far in the first month. I just wonder, in the personal relationship, how does that go when you watch the amazing things he's done in the first month?
No, he always asks us what we think of things going on. And, the takeaway that I've had, and I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, is that he's really enjoying himself. And I'll tell you what, God, it is such a nice thing to see, because no one deserves it more than this man. All that he's been through over not just the past 4 years, the past 8 years, it's been a lot. And the fact that he is on full offense, that the Democrats and the liberal media don't even know how to react to everything that's going on, is such a beautiful thing to see. And so I'm just happy for him. I'm happy that he's able to do it his way this time around, that it's working so well, that he's got such a great team of people around him who are actually executing the job the American people voted him into office to do. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I mean, my gosh, we're just scratching the surface. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come.
Check out everything she does. You're truly inspiring. And I mean that for everybody who's watching what you're doing, what you're accomplishing. This is the product of very, very hard work and a work ethic that I think a lot of people probably have deep down, but it's been suppressed because of the malaise in this country for so long. It's Lara Trump. Go right now to LaraTrump.com, TheRightView.com. Go get her song called No Days Off on YouTube and anywhere else you get your music. Lara, thanks a lot for always making time for the show.
Oh, you are the best. Thank you so much for having me.
You're the best. We're back after this. Stay right here.